one of the most outstanding technical issue is teachers not knowing the difference between traditional content and the online content. There is a very big difference. They always mistake online content for resources. Fine, with online content, there must be two types or two categories: the resource category and the activity category. Because in most cases, an online learner is meant to be a self-directed learner. So when you are preparing content for such a learner, it must be engaging. The resource one should be just a point of reference. And by the resource one, I mean basically the notes to read through, the diagrams to look at, the illustrations to observe, etc. And I think all of you are aware that when you talk of e-learning, people think of one thing: notes. Have they uploaded notes? Are there notes? They basically look for the notes. Fine, you have sent the notes to the learners. What next? How sure are you that they have interacted with your notes? You cannot be sure. Secondly, it is very boring to the learners, you know, reading notes, writing notes. Learning cannot be just a one-way kind of street. But if there are activities using different technologies within the learning management systems, learners can really enjoy. They get stimulated to take more and more and more. And even the preparation must be in micro format, not so lengthy. It must be very nutritious in that what they consume can really build them up. So that is, to me, the most outstanding technical part I can present to you. Thank you very much. Let me leave room for others to take on from there.
Okay, thank you. Who would want to go next? We could just outline, because of the element of time, so that we pick as many as possible. So I've picked what is the nature of online content and how do we create engaging content as two questions. Number two, Mr. Namdala, what issues are you seeing that are emerging in the e-learning space?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Golooba. Me on that, what I can say, the issues we are having in learning is like we still have, I can say, I don't know how I can say, it's like that traditional thinking. Right now, one of the challenge which we are having, even in our fellow teachers, they believe that the learner can only learn when you have face-to-face. So that's the thing. That's why even right now, even you can bear witness in our school, teachers, they be there, yeah, they come in e-learning just to get something, like they are going to pay me, but they don't believe in the process of e-learning, because for them, they know a learner can only learn when physically I'm seeing the learner. So that's one of the challenge. That's why even we are trying to put people on board, but still people have that mentality. Yeah, for me, that's what I have, Mr. Golooba.
Thank you. Do we have another person who would like to comment on this? What are the emerging issues you are experiencing in the institutions? If you have, just go ahead, please, and mention, such that Mr. Namdala, let me also make you a co-host. Do you have a computer? Are you attending using a computer? Who is using a computer?
Yes, I'm using a computer.
Okay, let me make you a co-host so that you can assist me as I type out the issues that are being raised. Do we have other issues? Lucy, mine is about how to make content more engaging. Okay. Lucy is talking about how to create engaging content. I'm also seeing, like we've been talking briefly, some people don't believe in e-learning platforms. They think you can only have learning only takes place through Zoom. So even when so the moment you say e-learning, people think that is Zoom. Mr. Kakaire.
Thank you very much, Mr. Golooba. Another very important thing is that the structure of the content, where to start, where to end, in that micro lesson is a very big challenge. Yeah, I've seen it happen because if one doesn't know where to start and end on the e-learning platform, the preparation of the content is going to be very difficult. Somehow we came up with
Should we call that lesson delivery? What do you mean by where to start and where to end?
Not really. I would say that one has to start with a declaration of the topic. Then he goes to the learning guide, which should be the contract between the learner and the teacher, whereby the teacher declares what he's going to do, and he as well declares what the learner is supposed to do in terms of activities in order to arrive at what he's supposed to learn, in order to learn something in that particular topic.
Okay, thank you.
It's from the learning guide where the teacher now crafts activities using the technology embedded in a learning management system. That thing is very crucial there. It's very tricky. I can't say that mine is final, but when time comes for that, we shall share. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Please go ahead.
I think I'm going to talk about this not from the teaching or the school kind of experience, but generally looking at this new, because I would say it's a new technology, which is trying to be, used in enhancing teaching and learning. I think all the issues you are mentioning may be right, but I think the main issue that probably is bringing up what you're talking about is the issue of knowledge, confidence in the use of technology. Because if you look at most of the teachers haven't used this kind of technology or engaging themselves in this technology of engaging students using technology, using internet, using computers in learning. So they find it really very hard to engage their activities, like teaching of students using computers. So the whole thing, if probably, because for instance, if you look at schools that have participated in e-learning before, you find that they find ease in using the technology and like using technology in delivering education. For instance, Mengo, the school I know a little bit of it, the e-learning has been there for so many years, and when you look at the last lockdown, when they decided to bring in the e-learning platform, you find that every teacher was really on board to see that everything is moving. And if you look at the schools that have not been using e-learning, you find that even pulling teachers towards participation in the e-learning platform, you find that it's very hard, and they actually create a scenario where they say the whole thing is hard. So I think the main thing here is sensitization. If it's well done, then you will find that all the things you're mentioning here as the challenges or the issues, you see that they are being sorted out slowly by slowly.
Thank you, Ahmed. Do we have any other quick issue that is emerging in your institutions? We've seen the people issues, some technology issues, perception issues are coming in. So thank you very much. We have 12 minutes to 7:30. So we could move on to the next item. Oh, David, I see your hand.
Yes, Mr. Kalema.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick one. The challenge is that online teaching is behind three or two bodies of knowledge together. And when we talk about technical issues, there are technical issues, ICT. Now, when you look at ICT itself, the infrastructure or the technology itself, there was a time when I was to have an online class, but my Zoom app had been corrupted, and I could not share the screen. So I realized the good thing is that we are sharing that class with my colleague. So we had done, we are teaching, we had done team teaching. So when my technology failed, my colleague took over. But when I updated my app, I could continue with the teaching, but that could not be done in the same class. So some issues are technical on the side of technology. Then there are some issues as far as ICT is concerned. The presentation is themselves. You realize that presentation is also another full body of knowledge. There are qualities of a good presentation. There is a way, for instance, when I share a screen here, when I am presenting, it will be in a presentation view. But you'd find someone is presenting in normal view, and most probably the participants or learners cannot view content properly. So these are some of the things. We need some tips on presentation making, qualities of a good presentation, how to develop a presentation and make it.
Good morning to you.
Then the other one is basically on the network. In very many places has failed people to go on with the lesson. Now as well, they can keep moving around and see where you can pick the network. Some people are saying switch it to 4G. If at all you are running a 3G or 2G kind of device, get a device which can go to say 4G. So these are issues which need to be clarified and make people aware, or made people to be aware. Then the teaching itself. Teaching is also another complete body of knowledge. Mr. Kakaide hinted on it. The style of presentation, and more especially online presentation. There might be a difference between the presentation and the notes. You might find that someone is on online teaching, but is busy giving out the notes themselves. Yet, there could be a difference between your presentation and your notes. So when it comes to submitting notes to learners, they need to be more detailed a bit. So these are issues which also need to be. So then I can talk about lesson development, and Mr. Kakaide talked about them. So these are issues. I think when we meet in a forum like this one, we can keep learning and most probably updating and equipping our colleagues. I think we shall reach the shore. We shall get there. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Matofu.
Yeah.
For that submission, ladies and gentlemen, you could still use the chat room. The chat room is open. You could type in and we pick the issues as they come in. The issues could also be questions you have. How do you do this as technical people? How do you do this? What skill do you want to learn as we move on? So at this time, allow me to invite Mr. Kakaire, who is going to share with us how to connect two systems together. Many of you know that Google Classroom is a very common teaching platform. Google itself is very common. We use Google Drive to store our files. And then we have Moodle learning management system that is managing the learning. True, Google also has a classroom. But today we want to look at how to connect two systems. He will tell us why it is important and how to do it. Mr. Kakaire, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Golooba. Let me start by sharing my screen straight away. Kindly allow me to share my screen.
Co-host.
Yeah.
Co-host.
I can't share my screen, Mr. Kalema.
Mr. Kakaira, are you a co-host? Maybe you.
Unless I'm made maybe co-host,
Yep.
I can't, or he has maybe to go somewhere, he changes it. There's another radio button you can click on so that you allow participants to share. Still, I can't.
Yeah, I think we are now there.
Well, let me see. Okay, that's pretty good. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah. Okay, that's my screen. First of all, I want to start with these digits you are seeing here. Maybe we adopt them as a conventional kind of nomenclature for our sessions. 01 stands for the first meeting. 12 stands for today's date. Then 07 July, 21 is the month. My task is to show you how to connect to Google Drive. Connect to Google Drive to Moodle. It's a lengthy task. The remaining minutes cannot suffice. I'm begging to have another additional session on top of this. So let me just go through the overview so that we have some kind of foundation. Sorry. Okay. That's my agenda. What is Google Drive, why Google Drive, and how to connect Google Drive to Moodle, and then conclude. Google Drive is a file storage is a file storage and synchronization service developed by Google. Everyone knows it. It is a limited liability company in the US. Like you would say limited here. For them, they say LLC. It is accessible via a subdomain, drive.google.com. And the way a user gets to be authenticated to use it is by self-registration. The moment you have a Gmail account, definitely you are entitled to search other products of Google, especially the free tier, you're entitled. However, others, when you go deeper, you have to pay. By 2018, there are 1 billion users of Google, so you can see how popular Google is on the globe. It was launched 9 years ago. So it has some strength on the market. Why Google Drive? It's the most popular kind of service across mobiles, especially the one running on Android. Even there are versions for PCs and Macs. So again, another thing, it is very granular. At first I was a user of Dropbox. Then I jumped to Google because of being very granular. We shall look at that one when we are pointing to our resources from Google Drive to Moodle. That is a very, very, very strong aspect or a strong feature of Google Drive. Now, how do we connect to Google Drive from Moodle? I can say there are essentially two processes. The first one is the GCP console setup. The first one is you to set up the auth in your GCP console, and the second one is going to Moodle into your site administration if you are a Moodle administrator, and a number of things. This process, the first one, is a bit lengthy. It would be best to demonstrate it with a live example. In my view, the whole process is likely to take a full hour if we are ready to learn the real thing. But all in all, the reason why you go to GCP console is to seek for permission from Google to use their service in Moodle. That's what auth stands for. It's not authority, it's basically authorization. In that process, you must create a project for your learning management system. And in this case, it is Moodle. If it is, let's say, Moodle running for Mwiri, I would maybe call it Mwiri Moodle. You can call it anything. You can call that project anything. It is on the basis of that project you are going to develop others to get or to create the authorization ID to make the platform verified. The domain has to be verified. The domain is the property in terms of auth to Google. So once all that is done, because in verification, there are several steps you have to undergo when you are verifying your property, when you are verifying your domain. Your property is your domain. For example, mwiri.sc.ug is our domain. So that one has to be verified. There are several ways of verifying, about 5. But the one I've worked with, that I'm conversant with, is the one where you use a Google verification HTML file. So Google wants to know whether the domain you are going to use belongs to you. They send you, or they let you download that small HTML file and upload it on your domain via the file management setup. in your control panel. Once it is done, you click the verification button and you wait for one of the following. Either the verification to be rejected or to be accepted. That one is very possible. It is not a guarantee that your domain will be verified. I've seen it happen. But once it is verified, then it is okay. You go ahead doing the rest of those processes in the GCP console, that is Google Cloud Platform console, up to the end. Then you go to Moodle and go to the site admin via the plugins. Then you go to the repositories so that you manage the repositories. There is a list of repositories, but that one has to be done when the block edit is on. When I just speak them like this, you cannot really get them. We have to really see how everything takes place practically. I have been that brief because of time. Let me see. We have 7 minutes to do that, but I want to interest you in the strength or the reason why sharing between Google and Moodle is very important. It optimizes collaboration between the content creators, that is the teachers. Like very much you are aware that in Google Drive, you can share a folder, you can share a file amongst a group of members collaborating on a certain task. So it means that one folder can be created maybe for ICT resources for the students. So and so works on a certain part, another on another part, then maybe the quality controller goes through, puts it right, then converts it to PDF within the same folder from your different locations. Now, instead of you uploading it to Moodle directly, you simply point using a resource called label. There is a resource in Moodle, a resource module called label. You simply point there and it directly shoots in Moodle and the students are able, or the learners are able to consume it. That is the good thing with it. So you can see the time is not enough. There are 5 minutes to the end. Those are some of my references. So in those remaining minutes, allow me to use the Mwiri platform to show you how the whole thing works. Then when allowed, next time, I will make the real presentation in its entirety so that we really see how things go on. Let me hope I quickly pick it. Close a lot of things here so that I save time. Okay. It's here. Okay, that's our platform. That's our platform. I can jump in any subject here. Let me go anywhere around commerce here, I think. Or let me go to agriculture. I will change. It's okay. Go to any subject because I'm the main admin there. It's biology that has come. Okay, whatever comes, it's fine. So when you are in here, you are in the learning management system. You're going to point to a certain resource in Google Drive. Turn your editing on. Okay. That one allows you to access module picker. There's a module picker here. Those ones we call the module pickers. They are very common once you turn on the editing button. As you're seeing them, add an activity or resource. Those are modules. Let me add anything here. I click here. My interest now is to add a file. Once you click on it, the modules window opens, and this is how it looks like. I'm interested in the resource module. This resource module you are seeing here is very powerful. It's labeled here. It's what we are going to use. Click on it or click it. It opens and it gives you boxes where you're supposed to put a box where you're supposed to put values. Moodle uses the term values. Everything you put in a box is a value. So here I can say the file I want the students to view or to read or to consume is called sample file. Sample file. Or I can use a statement. I say to no more, read this. Read this. Then I highlight this and click the link icon. I can even make it bold before I click so that it's conspicuous. Then click the link icon. Then I browse through the repositories. Okay. So what I see is a file picker dialog box. You can see there's a list of repositories here, but by default, the one uploaded file is highlighted. That one points directly to your computer. But these two here, Google and Microsoft, but especially Google Drive, where our interest is today, this one. This one doesn't come by itself. By default, when you have set up your Moodle platform, the repositories you have are from here up to Wikimedia. These ones can be added later. There are many others when you go to the back end under plugin via your site administration. You can see many Google, Dropbox, etc., etc. But this one here, click it. Then you log into your account. Okay. Like we normally go, sign in with Google. I'm going to use email admin. Yeah, so they are saying Google hasn't verified this app. I don't know why. Allow. Sorry, there is an error. I have to verify and find out why it is so. But still, let me go via here. Or let me go indirectly via the web interface. Still, there's no problem. That one, I'm going to correct it. Let me visit it directly here. I know we are late by 3 minutes. Okay. Putting my password. It has opened. There is a folder we specifically share at Muiri. It is within here in Carl's work too, like you're seeing.
Mr. Kakaire, do you want us to
surprise you?
another interface? We are currently seeing the Moodle file picker.
You're currently seeing the Moodle.
We are seeing Moodle file picker.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it was telling me that. Okay, thank you for that correction. Oh, where is it?
Share the full screen. It could be picker.
Yeah. Here. I think you're able to see.
Yes, we are.
Are you able to see the interface where you're seeing my drive? You're able to see it.
Yes, please.
Now, like you are aware, every drive that is shared bears this kind of icon, sort of a portrait of a man. But when you look at this one, you don't see that. Yet, something is shared in there. That's why I say it is granular. It's within here that there is a file, or there is there are resources which we are going to share with our students. So it is on BCM LMS. Yeah. Okay. Then within it, we created what we call students resources. Now this one here is shared by the teachers, the whole of it. That's why it's like this. But outwardly, remember when I was getting into the main directory, the folder, Carl's work too, there was no sign that it is shared. Somehow there is some bit of sharing or anything. Outwardly, you see it like it's not shared at all. Yet inside, there are some components which are shared here and there. So you can choose which components to share with others or which directories to share with others. But now this is going to be more granular. We want a particular file to be shared by students without going anywhere else within the folder. Then open. We can pick anything, either from biology or whatever. So I've picked something here. Maybe this one, I right click, basically to pick a link. That's what we also do. But be very careful when you are picking a link. Make sure that the permission is under editor. Because when you choose any of the first two, they will not be able to access. The system will tell them to seek for permission. So you have to check this one, editor, and copy the link. Then quickly go back to your Moodle.
Yes, just one more thing about that. Because if you look at the permission you give, is for editor. Do you like share that in the interest of students being able to edit or just viewing? Because I'm sure if you select editor, you give a room for someone to do some editing on that file.
No, not for the students to edit. I know a PDF file can be edited, but due to the pressure students are exposed to, they have no room to edit the PDF file, because what we put there for sharing is basically in PDF format.
So now,
why,
if it's a PDF, you're sharing, what happens if you go by viewer option?
the system forces them to ask for permission to access.
Okay.
And now this is when you start getting calls. The thing doesn't work, a complaint, the thing doesn't work, and they fail to respond. You check into the system, you don't see anything happening. And
okay,
that's the reason why.
Yeah, can you just,
so the advantage,
in the interest of us knowing what is happening on each option, because I can see if you select editor, if you can read a small comment under on the left hand side, under anyone with the link, it says anyone on the internet with this link can edit. What message do we have or comment do we have if you select viewer? This is in the interest of us in this discussion to know what happens.
That's what it looks like. Viewers can see comments and suggestions. That's what you get. But in reality, the other end of the student, the other end of the learner, the system tells him access denied. Even when you come to this one, commenter, they just give you a tip like that you can comment, but still the other end, what the student gets as a feedback is access denied. But when you use this one, editor, find the student cannot directly edit a PDF file. Even if they edit, after all, it is for them to consume, you don't mind. But the good thing with that option is that access is granted. You will not get calls to disrupt your program. Grant them permission. And moreover, there are many. You begin getting calls one after the other from all the different students entitled to that resource. I hope I'm clear. Okay. Now I've copied my link. I want to take it to the other side of Moodle. Are you able to see the file picker here?
Yeah, just because we're running short of time, yes. I love practical bit of this, because I know we learn when it comes to practical item, we tend to learn more than talking, because I may be knowing this, but just in the interest of our colleagues in this panel, is we can see, maybe you can extend some few minutes into this. We can share what happens. Like, for instance, if you copy the link and you tag it as viewer, and then you share that link with each of us, like on the through the chat, and then we try to follow that link. What happens? Because everyone that you're seeing here, like the teachers from the schools you're representing, they're going to have this as a practical thing. They may face this as they set up for students. So if you can copy, if you can go back to that file and try to set it as viewer only, and then you share the link with us, we try to click on that link and see what happens. And then again, you go back and put it to editor, like to get that clear, practical bit
the
of
evidence.
it. Yes.
Okay. Okay, let me just drop this one here.
I was requesting.
Yes, please.
If we are recording these sessions, then we can record and share for purposes of referring. Otherwise, if someone explains and then we pause, then we come back to practice, I think take much time. Let us record, then we shall share. That's my suggestion.
Okay, I think we can record and share because we are not yet signed in. He has to create the user profile for us on his system.
No, what I'm meaning.
But I agree that it would have been better for us to practice it immediately. But the challenge I'm seeing at this time is that for us to access it, we would have to be signed up, but we are not yet signed up in his system. But it also means that we can prepare next time.
Ayub?
Yes, please.
The link that Kakaire is going to input in Moodle is for the access of that file from within Moodle. When someone logs in. But still you can access the file direct without going into Moodle. Like if he shares the link.
I get it.
You get it?
I get it.
Yeah,
so have got it.
Go ahead. I got it well from Mr. Ahmed, very clearly.
Just paste it in the chat room. That's all.
That's it. Let me just conclude this small one here.
Okay.
For the sake of finishing the other part, takes only a second.
What I'm seeing is the folder, not Moodle. I'm seeing Drive. Do you want to show us Moodle?
Not really.
Okay.
Let's go to that Drive.
You can just use the Zoom chat and paste the link there.
Paste it, yeah. Okay. We're getting first of all the viewer one. This one here.
Yeah.
I think you see what I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Copy a link. Then I drop it in the chat. Everyone in the meeting. There you are. That is the view one. It's the view one. No, it shouldn't be. I think it's not the one. Disregard that. Let me get another one. According to the extension I'm seeing up to the end.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask if you copy and then after copying, you do not click the done button. Is there a difference, like not clicking done and not and clicking?
Thank you very much for that question. Thank you to all the viewers this morning. We started our assessment.
There's some interference in the background.
We have muted him.
Okay. Okay, I'm dropping in another one. View. Okay, you try that one and see, but I'm not seeing something not proper there. That is the one of view, presumably. Are you not seeing something?
So we are using the one you had said it's not the right one.
The second one. What's the second one?
Because the second one.
How come I have only one?
I'm only seeing one link. I have one, but it's like from my side. When I follow that link, it opens up the PDF file without asking for credentials.
That's why I'm suspicious. What I was seeing. Okay, let me show you what I saw. Made me suspicious is at the end when you see USB is equal to sharing, then that one is shareable and one can easily open it.
Yeah.
Let me get back. Okay, I think this is likely to be the one. Let me click that. Done. Come back, seeing that more than I see. Let me see. Let me send another one and you see what happens.
So, Mr. Kakaire, what you were going to do was to get that link and embed it in the label.
That is it, exactly. That's what I did.
Okay.
Meaning
that we can now practice on how it is. What I fear is if we extend the meeting very far, people will not come next time. People will start saying, those ones got what, and yet we have lessons for e-learning.
That's true. I think maybe for now that is enough, but that is how it behaves via Moodle. Maybe here directly one can access it, but when we put it via Moodle with the option of viewer or the option of another second option, it was asking for, it was instead reporting access denied. But when you go for the editor option, it opens.
Okay. Yeah, I think there could be some bit of a review within within Moodle in relation to that plugin. Probably that's where the issue could be, because why I was asking you to share that link, because I know with Google Drive, if you put under viewer, you let everyone, even without credentials, even without Gmail, to be able to view the file. And then if you bring in the editor, so it grants more permission. So I just want to be clear, even to other participants in this meeting. So I think this issue of if you grant it as viewer, I think it has to be looked into Moodle within the settings of that plugin and see if that's where the problem is.
Okay. Actually, mine was in the context of Moodle. The 2 trials or the 3 trials, the first 2, like you saw them, other than editor, were all commanding to get access. To request for access. They were seeking for permission to access. But this other one, editor, was okay. I think from the Moodle environment, it's like that. But outwardly, when it is a sort of a standalone kind of string, there it works very well. So members, that's what I had. Unfortunately, the other one had issues.
Thank you.
But
Mr. Kakaire,
yes,
just
sir.
because we are recording, could you paste it in Moodle? In the
Okay.
label, have you closed the label? Just
that one I pasted it.
In Moodle so that it can be recorded as well.
Okay. Yes, there we are. It's this one here. Yeah, it's here. Let me turn off the editing button. Okay. So this is what I'm seeing. This is what I created. And this is the other word I made bold and pointed to no more read this. Then a student clicks. So depending on the speed of the internet, determines the rate at which it opens. So that is what the student sees. So you will notice that the advantage is that you don't stuff up your Moodle with a lot of things. You can use other repositories to fetch resources, preferably Google, where people can collaborate. If possible, usage for OneDrive can also be adopted so that your Moodle is not stuffed up.
Okay.
So all in all, this is what the student sees.
Okay, so thank you.
You can go ahead and download it.
Mm.
If he feels like, you can go ahead and download. There's the download button, there's the print button. So here the student is downloading it in his downloads folder or wherever, depending on how his browser was configured. So that is that.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Kakaire, for that exposition. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope to meet next week again from 6:30 to 7:30. Today is our first meeting, and sorry it took a little longer than we had expected, but we'll be having some quick meetings where we share a skill or two. At this time, I hand over to you guys. If you have a comment, a quick one that you have, something you'd want us to focus on so that we can conclude this. Thank you. If you are submitting, please use half a second. And once any submission, if there is no other submission.
I'm seeing something that from Mr. Golooba, from Taka Marion. I want to learn how to create the labels in the Moodle platforms, e.g. dashboards, participants, and other menus. Actually, those, I can say that you've mixed up a number of things here. You need to be taken step by step to know them categorically so that you know how to interact with them to come up with something. Then from Mr. Quinom Juni, some of us came in late. How can we access a recorded version? I think that is yours, Mr. Kalema.
Yes, we'll share the link later. And kindly try coming in early. Don't depend on the link saying, even if I don't go. It's important for us to have you. So we'll share the link with those who have been around, but we'll not share it with those who have not managed to come. Thank you. So without further ado, wish you a good day. Thank you very much for turning up today. The chat rooms are open, the discussions are open. We are always open to learn with and from each other. So thank you. Have a good week. Thank you, Mr. Kai. Bye.